Well, almost 100 days ago, the people of Karnataka gave Congress a landslide victory in the state. But what did we get in return? Did Siddu'S live up to his promises? Did he live up to all the promises that he made during the campaigning? Have we seen the clean Congress government of Karnataka as of now? As Siddu'S and his men complete 100 days in office on the 21st of this month, we asked you a few questions to analyze the performance and see if expectations were met. So here are the results of News 9's Sea Water Opinion Poll. Well, the first question that we asked our viewers was, are you happy with Siddu'S performance as the Chief Minister in the state in the last 100 days? Let's not forget that there were numerous promises made by Siddu'S as well as the Congress government. So a little over half the number of people we asked, close to 3,000 people were asked across the state from different constituencies. Nearly 50.3% said that yes, they were happy with Siddu'S governance, whereas nearly 39.6% of them told that they were not happy with Siddu'S government. 10% of them chose to refrain from commenting on Siddu'S governance in the state. So it looks like a little more than half the people seem to be satisfied with Siddu'S governance in the state as the Chief Minister. Well, that was regarding Siddu'S governance. Siddu'S assuming the post of the Chief Minister, but how have his cabinet ministers fared? Let's take a look at what the people had to say about the cabinet ministers' performance in the state. After asking the people what they thought about Siddu'S performance, we asked them what they thought about the cabinet ministers' performance, and nearly 42.1% of them said that yes, they were happy with the performance put forth by the cabinet ministers, but a little over that, which is about 47.5% of them went on to say that they were not happy with the cabinet ministers' performances, all of them carrying portfolios a little over those approving the performance of the cabinet ministers. Many of them seem to disagree with them, and again 10.4% of the respondents chose not to comment on how they would want to rate the cabinet ministers' performances. And well, on the other hand, let's take a look as to have Siddu'S colleagues from Janata Dal influenced his decisions, influenced his actions in the Congress governance in the state in any way. Nearly 38% of the people believe that yes, Siddu'S colleagues from the Janata Dal gained prominence in the Congress government in the state ever since it has assumed power, whereas 42.8% of them said that no, we do not agree with that. We do not agree that Siddu'S colleagues from Janata Dal gained prominence over the Congress leaders in the running of the government in the state. Let's not forget that this is based on the performance put forth by the Siddu'S-led Congress government in the state in the past 100 days, how the people are looking at it, how the common man is looking at it. And according to the common man, his Janata Dal colleagues have not really influenced the decisions, not really played a major role, or not really overshadowed the Congress government, Congress leaders in the state. So 42.8% of them really giving their vote to Siddu'S, saying that he has not been very biased. Now let's move on to the other question that we asked all our viewers, asked nearly 3,000 respondents who were part of this survey. Has corruption come down in the state in the past 100 days? Let's not forget that the major crucial point as far as the BJP government was concerned was the corruption issue. It is what mainly brought down the government. The allegations, the scams, all that surfaced during the BJP governance, that is what proved to be a death call for them, and that is what practically brought them down. So how has the corruption issue managed to survive or eradicate, or how has it been under the Congress government? Nearly 26.9% of them said that they do not believe that corruption has come down in any way. There doesn't seem to be any significant change, as we can see on the television screens. 26.9% of them not really agreeing with the whole call that the Congress government came out and said that we will come out with clean governance, we will come out with a government that is not riddled with corruption. But close to 60.8% of them, over 60% of them went on to say that corruption has not come down in the state in the last 100 days. Again, 12.3% of the people chose not to comment on the matter. However, a majority of the people believing that there has been no change as far as the status of corruption is concerned. It has not come down in any way. However, close to 26% of them really giving their vote to the Siddu'S government, going on to say that yes, we believe corruption seems to have drastically, considerably rather, come down in the state of Karnataka. Karnataka. So the other controversy that was involving Chief Minister Siddu'S as soon as he assumed office was the fact that he had moved the picture, the portrait of former Prime Minister Deve Gowda from his office. Let's not forget that the bitter relationship that is shared between Chief Minister Siddu'S and H.D. Deve Gowda and the Gowda family for that matter has been out in the open, with pot shots being taken at each other almost on a regular basis. So the move of actually removing H.D. Deve Gowda's portrait, who also happens to be the former Prime Minister of the country, was it wise on part of Siddu'S? Was he right in doing so? 19.4, just a mere 19.4% of the people believed that yes, there was absolutely nothing wrong in Siddu'S going ahead and removing the portrait of the former Prime Minister H.D. Deve Gowda. However, whopping 67.8% of the people went on to say that they believe it was wrong on Siddu'S' part for having removed the former Prime Minister's portrait from his chamber. He shouldn't have done that. It invited unnecessary criticism, it invited unnecessary confusion, and also caused a little bit of an embarrassment to the people, to the ministers associated with the Congress government, considering that the rivalry between JDS and Siddu'S, the rivalry between H.D. Deve Gowda and Siddu'S is almost out in the open. So putting it forth in such a manner, removing the portrait, did not really go down well with too many people, as 67% of them thought that it was an unnecessary move. It was not a move that was required. Also, the next question that we asked our viewers about Siddu'S governance was he trying to appease the Ahinda community? Was he trying to facilitate them in any manner? 47.6% of them, which is majority if we do look at the stats here, 47.6% of them went on to say that they do believe that he is trying to appease the Ahinda community, whereas 35.7% of the respondents out of the 3,000 whom we asked said that they do not agree with it. He was not trying to appease the Ahinda community in any way. His job as the Chief Minister, his decisions that he was taking as the Chief Minister was not influenced by the Ahinda community in any way. He was not trying to side them. He was not trying to be biased in any manner. But this was the opinion of only 35.7% of the people, whereas on the other hand, 47.6% of the people truly believed that he was trying to appease the Ahinda community in some manner. Now, the other issue that has been raining heavily on not only the Karnataka government, but governments across the country, even the centre for that matter, is the issue of price rise. Did the state government, did the Congress government at the state manage to control price rise in any manner? Only 17.8% of the people went on to say that yes, Siddu'S government has been able to control price rise in the state to a considerable amount of, to a considerable extent rather. However, that doesn't seem to be a very convincing number of people, as it is just a mere 17.8% of the people. In fact, only in this particular question, only about 9.9% of the people chose not to answer, as over 72% of the people went on to say that no, Siddu'S government has not been able to control price rise in any manner. Let's not forget that as far as vegetable prices are concerned, as far as fuel prices concerned, it has been constantly fluctuating in Bengaluru, and Bengaluru is one of the cities that has been paying almost one of the highest prices for fuel. Is as far as fuel is concerned, even vegetables drilling a hole in the consumer's pocket. So clearly the people not with Siddu'S in this cause, as nearly 72.2% of them believe that Siddu'S government has not been able to control price rise in any manner. Now, coming to the capital of Karnataka, Bengaluru, has Bengaluru changed in the last 100 days? Let's not forget that there was considerable amount of deterioration as far as infrastructure in Bengaluru was concerned. The basic infrastructure provided to Bengaluru, or for that matter, the water or power crisis in Bengaluru was concerned, was quite grave. So has Bengaluru changed in the last 100 days? Did the Congress government come and bring about a considerable change in the capital city of the state? Let's take a look at the stats here. Whether it became worse, 14.3% of the people believe that it became worse, whereas 15.9% of the people believe that it became better. So there seems to be almost a clash there. It is almost an equal number of people believing that it became worse and it became better, but nearly 34.2% of the people believe that there is no change. Most of them went on to say that they can't say anything about the matter. They do not see too much of a change in Bengaluru, or in a matter of 100 days, they actually can't come out and say that the Congress government has done enough to bring about, to make it seem like there is considerable betterment or there is considerable amount of deterioration in the state of Bengaluru. Now, finally coming to the issue of uninterrupted power supply, let's not forget that last year's drought had come out with a very horrible power crisis in Bengaluru and across the state. And Rahul Gandhi, when he did come down to Karnataka for his election speech ahead of the 2013 Karnataka Assembly elections, he went on to promise uninterrupted power supply. He went on to say that 8 hours of power supply will be supplied to Bengalurians, will be supplied to Karnataka for that matter. How have the people reacted to that? Are they happy with Karnataka's status at this point in time as far as the power issue is concerned? 33.1% of the people believe that they are getting 8 hours of uninterrupted power supply as promised by Rahul Gandhi. 33.1% of the people agree with the government, whereas 61% of the people, which is more than majority, much more than majority, going on to say that no, Karnataka is not getting uninterrupted power supply and Rahul Gandhi's promise has remained unfulfilled, although the government is soon to complete 100 days in their term. So clearly there seems to be a mixed verdict as far as the people of Karnataka are concerned with connection to the state government. Now the question is, what went wrong for Siddu'S and what seems to have worked in his favor? Our team sat down to ponder over this, and my colleague Bansi will take us through what we have compiled over these last several days, where we went to each and every constituency, interacted with nearly 3,000 respondents, asked them all these questions, asked them in detail as to what exactly went wrong for the Siddu'S government. Over to you, Bansi.
Well, good evening and welcome. To talk about this, we have a very esteemed panel of guests. First, I have Mr. Prakash from the Bharatiya Janata Party. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Prakash. Also, we have a very senior journalist, someone who has worked with both the print and the electronic media in very senior capacities, Mr. Imran Qureshi. Thank you for joining us on this program. Also, we have a man who was heading the KSRTC, a senior leader in the Janata Dal, Mr. T. Prabhakar. Thank you for joining us on this program. Also, we have a senior journalist, Shashwati Chakrabarti. Thank you for joining us on this program. Well, we talk about all this on the other side of this very short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, there are some ministers who have impressed everybody and done all that they could do in their post. Now, let's take a look at 5 of these performing ministers in Siddu'S cabinet. Well, here is UT Khadar. Now, as health minister, he had this onerous task of taking on the different issues that is before the people of Karnataka. Now, he is actively involved in developmental works. As health minister, he was the first minister to implement budget proposals. Also, on the Gutka issue, no sooner the Supreme Court came out of the ban, he went out, took this up very seriously, and it has paid dividends, justified Gutka ban in an acceptable manner in the session. For those who are anemic, he distributed tablets for students, the Ferrum tablets, to help students overcome anemia. The tablets helping rural students, especially where there is acute anemia across the state of Karnataka. These tablets have been like a supplemental diet and has helped students overcome deficiency of iron. Also personally visited dengue affected areas, spoke to officials, spoke to the affected. Let's understand, dengue is a much bigger scare this time than it was the last year. So the minister has performed there. Also looking at his meetings with Lokayukta and top health officials, he has organized several meetings. Proactive in fulfilling duties. This is UT Khadar, number 1 among Siddu'S cabinet. Well, let's look at who's number 2 in Siddaramaya's cabinet. At number 2 position, we have Mr. H.K. Patil. Now, this is a veteran we are talking of who holds the RDPR portfolio. He is a heavyweight, someone who's from North Karnataka. He's provided drinking water to nearly 1,000 villages. He has provided drinking water to nearly 1,000 villages. This is across the state. Initiated construction of 6 lakh public toilets. Now, toilets are a major issue not only in urban India but in rural areas also. And this minister is tackling this on a war footing in the state of Karnataka. Now, he has also initiated Rajiv Gandhi Chaitanya scheme in Gram Panchayats. Also credited with generating employment opportunities for 2 lakh youth in the panchayats. These are all rural initiatives, and allotted budget of 120 crore has initiated 15 programs for basic infrastructure. Okay, at number 3 is Mr. Vinay Kumar Sorakke, Urban Development Minister. Now, what are his achievements? Imposed a fine on citizens who do not segregate solid waste. We wish it was done across the state uniformly. Next, held meetings with officials of all palikas within 15 days of assuming office. Then there's a huge allotment to the Water Supply and Sewerage Board, that is of Bengaluru. We're talking of the BWSSB, huge allotment, but is this sufficient? They will need much more than this. But anyway, this is something to start with. Also, 800 crore allotted for developmental works in Bengaluru and Mysore from the centre. So this is also a plus. Set up coordination committees with several departments. So this is very critical because we've seen in the government, the left hand does not know what the right hand is doing. So also, if you see, conducted review meetings at palikas. There are different palikas where he has conducted review meetings twice a month. Now this goes to his credit. Also, developmental works worth 3,500 crore initiated in different palikas across Karnataka. We're talking of the major Mahanagara palikas. Also initiated works to form Greater Mangalore and Udupi Heritage City. This is a plus. This is a plus that goes in favor of Vinay Kumar Sorakke. Now these are among the top performers. Curiously, UT Khadar and Sorakke are both from coastal Karnataka. Next, the other great performer, Mr. Krishna Bairegowda, KBG as he is called, Agriculture Minister. His great achievement, seed distribution program to farmers, a success. Fertilizers distributed to farmers. Let's remember that there was firing for the distribution of fertilizers. People have suffered and he has distributed fertilizers to farmers. Additional fund of 500 crore released for crop loss. We have already seen crop losses in different parts of the state. Encouraged research into seeds for high yield. Let's understand, Krishna Bairegowda is a man who's studied abroad. So he's a man with a perspective. Someone who's initiated research in agricultural university. Of course, there was a research earlier. He has encouraged it further. Also, he has set up teams to provide agricultural subsidies to farmers directly. This again goes in his favor. Also, this is something very important. His father was known for a clean image. Son also enjoys a fairly good image, barring 1 or 2 issues. Personally keeps a tab on corruption in the department. This goes in his favor. Number 5, 5th rank goes to Mr. Ramlinga Reddy, Transport Minister. Now, this is a very low profile minister. But if you look at the things he's been doing, conducts field visits in Bengaluru thrice a week. Released additional 2,000 BMTC buses in a month. Where is the road space for it? But in any case, these are welcome moves. Utilized JNNURM funds resourcefully. Lots of funds we see are returned, but this man has ensured it is used up. initiated action against inefficient officials. Of course, there are many more, but he has started it. So full credit to him. He has initiated action against inefficient officials. CCTV, closed-circuit television cameras installed in BMTC buses for safety of women passengers. Especially this is useful at places where we have isolated bus stands, not much of passenger traffic at certain hours of the day. At such times also 1,000 buses released in rural areas within 50 days of assuming office. New buses provided to Sakleshwar depot after tragic accident in Belur. Now, new buses provided to Sakleshwar depot after tragic accident in Belur. Let's remember there were huge casualties after this bus went straight into a lake. Provided networking facilities in RTO to check the middleman menace. But has he been able to eradicate it completely? Not yet. Information of bus schedule provided to passengers through SMSs. All these are laudable initiatives. Now let's look at the bad boys in Siddaramaya's government. Okay, we will go to the bad boys a little later, but before that, let's go over to the News 9 Sea Voter survey. Well, we are talking of these 5 ministers ranked number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know if you will agree. First, let's start with you, Ms. Shashwati. Do you agree with rank number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or do you think others deserved it, or these guys didn't deserve it?
See, to begin with, I think 100 days is too short a time for you to rank any minister in any government. But I don't really know who's kind of ranked them and the profile of the people who've done this, but I think it's interesting to note that some of the critical portfolios seem to be doing well. And that is certainly encouraging, because if you see agriculture, the agriculture minister's got a thumbs up, the health minister's got a thumbs up.
These are critical areas.
These are critical
areas,
you know, of growth. These are critical areas of concern for all.
Absolutely.
So
RDPR
to that extent,
also.
I think it's, I think all the critical portfolios are getting a thumbs up.
And so is the chief minister, who's got so many portfolios with him. So, Mr. Qureshi?
I don't know on what basis this has been done, that these are the top 5.
Okay.
Because in several, I mean, one of the points that was shown about Vinay Kumar Sorke, for example, I think is a very sincere party worker who has been given some recognition after, I think, donkey's years. But one of your points that was, I mean, was on our graphic plate was that he coordinated between officials in the department. I mean, if a minister doesn't coordinate, he's unfit to be there.
Absolutely.
In the first place. And the second thing, yes, so far as UT Khadar is concerned, so far as, particularly so far as Bangalore is concerned, and Ramlinga Reddy is concerned, yes, I think he has sort of changed the complexion of the government's intervention in Bangalore. He has responded very interestingly to calls from citizens. He has responded, he has gone on his own on field visits. He has had a very, I mean, so far as Bangalore is concerned, I think he's started off on the very right path. I think he is responding. There is a response to a complaint in Bangalore, and that is handled by Ramlinga Reddy. I think that is being done undoubtedly extremely well.
Okay.
But to rate them as number 1, number 2, I am not prepared to say that, because it's just 100 days. UT Khadar is a minister for the first time in his life.
Yes.
So is Vinay Kumar Sorke.
Yes.
So is Krishna Bairegowda.
Yes.
If they are, I mean, there are so many others in the cabinet who have not had the exposure to sitting in the, I mean, they may be experienced MLAs, legislators, but certainly not in the government. So these are issues that, I mean, whether you classify somebody as best and somebody as bad would be a little too early, as Shashwati was saying, that I think it's too early to say in 100 days so and so is good or so and so is bad. But so far as your overall survey is concerned, yes, I mean, it gives a certain kind of a direction as to which side the government may be moving.
Okay.
But we still need to.
Still a little too early.
Too early to say that.
There is no need to celebrate.
Whether they are good, bad, indifferent, things can change.
Okay, Mr. Prabhakar, you've had the, I don't know if it is the happiness or the unhappiness of knowing Siddaramaiah personally. So on a day like this, you have known him personally, you have known so many others personally. You're someone who's known them. How do you look at an analysis like this? Do you think?
As both of my friends Shashwati and Qureshi said, it is too early to come to any kind of a conclusion of 100 days. Yet, the performance is good, especially Krishna Bairegowda and Ramlinga Reddy. Even though Krishna Bairegowda is the first time he is a minister.
You used to know his father.
Yes, C. Bairegowda, we know him personally well for years. But his performance and his commitment for the cause is really good. And we know for sure that he is a non-corrupt and a good human being also. And coming to Mr. Ramlinga Reddy as a transport minister, because Ramlinga Reddy is here for so many years in Bangalore as an MLA, as a minister also, and his action as per the KSRTC and RTO is concerned also is quite good. We must appreciate in this short of 100 days. Other people, as per the whatever you have just now said, and we have seen these things, it is also quietly okay, seems to be okay, not much. Yet, we can give them a thumbs up.
Also, for these men to really, if you look at those numbers, for Siddaramaiah to get 100, I wonder what he has to do. Mr. Prakash? For Siddaramaiah, his acceptability is 50. If you look at that first chart.
Performance.
Yeah, performance chart, it's 50. For him to get 100, I wonder what he has to do.
It's too early, as they have put it. 100 days, you cannot measure the performance of a state government. Once the state government started, cabinet expansion was there, it took about 7 to 10 days. Then again, there was 2 sessions, about 25 to 30 days went in that. And now the by-elections have been declared at 5 places, and they are fighting a very tough battle at Bangalore rural and the Mandya. The entire cabinet is now focusing on
entire government machinery is
there. Vidhan Sabha is blank today. So
today is a Sunday.
In such a scenario, the performance, you cannot gauge the performance, or they will not be able to perform. Rather, regarding your claim that Ramlinga Reddy has released 3,000 buses in 100 days, I don't think it's correct.
We don't
There
agree.
is something wrong with that statistics. 2,000 buses have not, it is impossible to release 2,000 buses in Bangalore city in 100 days. And regarding the networking of RTO, it was done much earlier. Even during the BJP government, it was done. The information you were providing by SMS through SMS was in force earlier also. What I can say is these people are doing a very decent job. Yes, they are trying to do a good thing, as you have remarked that.
No, all our statistics are verified. It's 2,000 buses in a month. And
I have my own doubts
it
about
is impossible.
Impossible.
Perhaps
No, see what
the
I
initiative, they have
agree with
announced the
Prakash.
initiatives. One second, sir. They might have announced that 3,000 buses will be released. That cannot, they will
But
not
has
be
it
able
hit
to
the
release
road?
it.
Has
And
it hit the road?
NERM scheme, it's completely over. Whatever the funds was allotted till our government was there. Now the new proposal have been submitted to the state and central government. Only then they can start utilization, only after the sanctioning. Now your remark says he has already utilized it. For what purpose? Nothing has been done in 100 days.
So you think these statistics are not accurate?
No, I feel there is something wrong with this.
Okay, something wrong with the statistics. Yes, Mr.
As per the KSRTC is concerned, nobody can bring 2,000 buses and put it on the road
On the
just
roads,
like
yes.
that.
Yeah.
It's only the chassis has to be taken, body has to be built from the regional workshop or from the private builders, then it comes on the road. How can 2,000 buses can hit the road in 100 days? It's highly impossible.
Okay, we have Brijesh joining us from New Delhi. Brijesh is an advocate and is joining us as someone from the Congress party. Brijesh, well, you seem to have a point here.
No, I'd only like to say that instead of finding little bits of contradictions in largely what has been said, I think one has to look at the larger perspective and to assume that some of these are right, but more importantly, what starts off well usually ends well, because you say that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And if that single step is auspiciously taken, if it's well planned and taken in a proper fashion, then in all likelihood that journey is likely to end well. And on that note, I can say that these 100 days, which the Congress has now assumed office, I think has begun on a very good note, and there have been not very many damaging or other issues. So things have begun well, and I'm sure that things will proceed along a rather nice path.
Well, Mr. Qureshi, on one hand we have Siddu'S. He is being benchmarked against a previous government, and we have seen the kind of slaughter that they took. Mr. Yediyurappa, of course, Mr. Yediyurappa, let's not talk about the others. So, how can you benchmark these two? I mean,
no, they need to be a benchmark for the simple reason that in the last, immediately you are going to compare the first 100 days, for example, if you compare the first 100 days of Yediyurappa's government and the BJP party's government and that of Siddu'S government, then naturally you need to probably, that's the way to compare it, because you can't be comparing Siddu'S with Devagowda's tenure as Chief Minister or Ramakrishna Hegde's tenure as Chief Minister. But given the fact that, what does your survey basically show? You basically is an indicator of the mood, that the people are happy. What is this first question of yours?
yes, the first question he gets 50
performance
marks.
as Chief Minister in the last 100 days, 50% are saying it is good, for the simple reason that they do not find a government which is not performing. It is performing. It is going slow. Yes, there is no doubt about it that Siddu'S government is going very slow. But it does. There is no scandal, falling out of all the cupboards, like unfortunately, perhaps that's the reason why Prakash also appreciated the performance of some of the ministers. There are no scandals falling off, and there is no instability. There is no instability.
No instability.
No instability, indication of instability. But in the case of the BJP, right from day one, there are all signs of instability. That is why that you could find that you find this comparison more.
Which is the reason why they are sitting in the
Sharp.
opposition.
Precisely. They are
Yeah,
obviously
which
sitting
is
in the
if-
opposition
if
because
the-
they did not
if the
perform well.
infighting wasn't there.
They had the best of opportunities to continue their, continue to be in the government. They completely spoiled it.
Mr. Prakash?
No, the
And
first
we are
I'll tell
benchmarking
you.
Siddu'S government
Yeah,
against the previous government. Do you think it's right?
When Yediyurappa completed his 100 days, he presented a balance sheet. What I have done, what was promised.
There was great jubilation, I remember.
Yeah, definitely. Even on the 200th day, he presented a
yes.
balance sheet. See, it all started after 1 year. As he said, there were a lot of confusions, internal dissidents. I don't deny it. But it doesn't mean the present Congress government is completely devoid of any dissidents or unhappiness. There are plenty of things. It's under the wrap now. Maybe this could blow up after this parliament election where Janata Dal is sure to win both the seats. That's what the feedback we have received.
You guys are supporting them. So
It's not
in any case.
it's their own seat. Okay. So we have to wait for few more.
I'm curious, Mr. Prabhakar, JDS has left 2 seats. They were anyway holding those 2 seats. What is the need to leave it now? What is the need for the election? I don't know.
See, there are a lot of.
And now you are fighting, you are moving everything to win those 2 seats which you yourself gave
It's
up.
nothing. See, we are going. It's our own seat. We are going to retain our own seat. There's no doubt about it. Because in political equations,
Are
so
you,
many
are you
things.
so sure? Is it because of the BJP support that you're going to retain it?
No, it's see the Congress versus anti-Congress. That's it. So all the parties joined their hands against the Congress to give a message to the country for the coming parliament elections. That's how I look for the whole thing.
Also, there is this allegation Siddu'S made, more in the nature of a slap, a political slap, saying BJP is tying up with JDS. So JDS secular image is corroded. Do you think that holds any water?
It doesn't hold any water. As a opposition, he has to speak as a chief minister or the leader of the party. He has to
No,
speak
but this is a serious allegation.
See, do you know, Mr. Bansi, in all the elections, these kind of things will come from every party. One, either the Congress or the other opposition party. It is quite natural.
See, once they
One-
formed
one
their
second.
coalition government with the BJP, and after whatever happened, the divorce or the separation, they obviously have now decided that it's not possible to fight Siddu'S or his government or the Congress party in the elections. So therefore,
In
that
fact,
is one
you
of the
know,
reasons why they're joining hand. Number one. Number two, the other reason is of course that the JDS feels more threatened because Siddu'S was one of them. He has now become the chief minister, and with the Congress machinery and the Congress government, he can do a lot to counter the JDS in southern Karnataka, and that is perhaps why they also joined hands. The third reason is of course that the BJP does not have much in Mandya, and they need to get the council seats.
The 3 seats are
three
more
seats in the
important
council, 2 seats in the council. So that is one of the arrangements. But what it really shows is that the opposition in Karnataka is certainly scared of the Congress consolidating its position in the state.
We are seeing this after the ULB polls. When Congress got 2,000, the other two parties got just about 1,000 each.
No,
From then we are looking at both the parties. In fact, had this wisdom dawned on them during the assembly polls, they would both have more seats in the assembly elections.
No, but I actually would like to link that to the discussion that we are here for. 100 days. I think there are two very critical things. One is from the perspective of politics and the other from the perspective of governance. What you are seeing, the consolidation of all the other parties put together, I would read that as a tacit acknowledgement that even politically today, Congress under Siddaramaiah is a force to reckon with. And it's not going to be a very easy thing to dislodge them. And therefore there is, I mean, I would read that as a tacit acknowledgement that there is something to be said for that. In terms of the first 100 days, I think one of the reasons why perhaps you're seeing the kind of numbers that you are from your respondents, and this is my personal view, is that you haven't seen too many dramatics. You know,
Not yet.
Yeah, well, it would have been very tempting for a chief minister who is succeeding 10 years of bad administration in this state to come in and kind of, you know, have pretend to have a magic wand and make 5,000 different interesting announcements to kind of, you know, get into capture the people's imagination and then over time not be able to deliver. Now, this seems to be a government which is measuring its steps very quietly. Yes, it is moving at a snail's pace. You know, you could have perhaps expected a lot more action than some 2,000 buses that we're talking about. But then they are playing a very safe game, and I think that is where you are seeing the kind of reaction that you are to Siddaramaiah today.
The big question is, one of the opinions is it's too early, it's too premature to really gauge the government. Do you think it's too premature? Well, we tell you all that after this very short break. Stay tuned.